How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be taking a look at Shock Shop Issue 4, or of course, with the alternate cover, Shock Shop Issue 4. And yeah, for those of you guys who are just tuning in, Shock Shop is a flipper comic. Basically, you pick a side, read to the halfway point, and then you flip it over, and you read a different comic going the other way. They're both hosted by the same host, but two very different stories. You know, sort of an odd version of anthology, but yeah, we've had 4 issues telling 2 different stories on 2 different sides, and now we're at the climax. This is the finale for these first 2 stories. Now, there's nothing in the book that says there'll be another arc, which I think is kind of sad. I would love to get more issues of this and tell more stories, but even though they're not advertising one right now, this is definitely a book that could come back whenever it wants to and do the same thing again, you know, being sort of individual anthology comics. Yeah, they could just show up and be like, you know, a new run of Shock Shop. They would probably even put a new number 1 on it. So even though it looks like this is it for now, I still have some hope. Maybe we'll see more. But anyway, these are 2 good, different stories. And that's one thing I don't know if I talked about enough. Very different stories. The guy with the spirits in his house, very fun, cartoony, cool stuff. And then you get the dark and moody, you know, something in the woods, it's dark. Who can I really trust, you know? And they are 2 very different stories, which, you know, it does help distinguish between the 2, but yeah, kind of odd it doesn't have a consistent feel among the book. Now, one thing I probably should have thought of, because I was thinking how pacing and structure would work with shorter stories, and it worked out pretty well. You know, it gets right into it, moves fast. I didn't have any trouble remembering week to week. But the one thing that I did feel a little bit was the ending does come kind of suddenly. And I mean, I guess I should see that. You know, a lot of books get a whole issue to do a finale, but this, you know, a whole issue would literally be like half the runtime of each of these stories. So the endings were a little quick, but overall I did like them. Each one had a good little unexpected moment toward the end, and I did feel like the books got all the resolution and told their full story. But yeah, these are shorter, you know, it's 4 half issues, which means they're only about 2 issues long each, and for what's essentially a 2-issue story arc, they got a lot done during that time. So yeah, they did wrap up a little quick, but I liked each of them. They were different, and they went through and told a full arc in a really short amount of time. And overall, this flipper book thing was a really fun experiment. Hope to get it back someday. And yeah, I liked both of these stories. If you want to hear more specific thoughts, I'm going to go ahead and switch to the close-up camera. I'll show you guys a little bit of the story and the art. No major spoilers for this issue, but I will talk about what happened in the past ones. So anyway, if you want a closer look, I'll talk a little bit about the book. So without further ado, to the close-up camera. Alright, here we are inside the castle taking a closer look at Shock Shop number 4. Let's go ahead and bring this closer to the camera. We see the logo and the credits up top, and these will change depending on what side you're looking at. Dark Horse number 4, $3.99, and there's the barcode on the familiar side, 00411. Anyway, this cover, really striking. There's him, solid black background, and then all the monsters wrapping around him, and they're in this nice red color. Cool visual. He is kind of over to one side, and this really does feel like it should be a 2-part cover, like there should be an alternate cover here that connects to the main one. I don't know, it feels like that, but I don't think it is, but it's still a cool cover of the monsters grabbing him, very graphic visual, red and purple, nice contrast. And then we get the side with the much more classical cover, the 2 skulls, the nice stonework around them, moon and trees coming in, and then the ropes and strands wrapping around them. Cool statues with skull heads, great cover, and we can see the credits have once again changed. Anyway, without further ado, I'm going to crack the book open. We'll take a little bit of a look at the story and the art, but I won't be doing any major spoilers, so no major spoilers for this issue. I will have to talk about the last ones for context. But anyway, let's go ahead and crack the book open. We get the familiars with the credits, Cullen Bunn and Leiz, and we get this poster here that's in 2 panels this time, and we get her in the bathtub saying she needs time to refresh herself, you know. So we also get the skeleton there with the brush to scrub her back, but she leads us into the final chapter of Familiars. And we see there's the wife's house, and we've got some poltergeist-style activity, and the kids go, it's Dad's ghost, but they're supposed to be friendly. The mom gets cut, and she starts to get strangled when eventually the dad, who figured it out in the last issue, is going to come in and try to send the monsters away. He explains what happened. He looked in the book and found out that his house used to be lived in by a coven of witches, and now that he owns the house, he owns the demons that are tied to the house, and they're called Familiars, hence the title of the story. And he says, if we want to take these things out once and for all, I have to pull them fully into the real world to fight them. So yeah, the book is a little bit of, you know, explaining a lot of the story really, really quick. But this thing is only 4 half issues long, or would be the equivalent of 2 total issues. So I can forgive the book kind of explaining everything really, really quickly. But yeah, so there's that, and they're going to have sort of a epic confrontation with the monsters, and I'll show you that one panel there of the bat one coming out with its claw. Pretty fun stuff. It does, like I say, wrap up kind of quick, but overall it still has the fun energy that made this side of the comic worth reading. But also, I did like the absolute end. I thought I knew where this one is going, and there's a fun final plot element thrown in at the end. I thought it ended on a really fun splash page. So yeah, that side, fun as always. Gotta love it. And then we get to Something in the Woods in the Dark, Cullen Bunn and Danny Luckert, and we get this fun poster of her kind of out of breath, and apparently the point of view camera is what's chasing her. But we get our host here, she's ordering more comics, and she says, some people wait till after the last minute to put in their final wishes. Oh, I mean final orders, you know. And there's her skeleton hand using the mouse, and we see like a ghost hand below trying to take the mouse for itself, and all the fun little details, this Cthulhu-esque pencil holder, and a big spider, and, you know, a bunch of fun things. You know, these pages with the host, if you stare at them long enough, you'll start to see a bunch of fun, tiny little details, which I always really do like. But anyway, why it's going after their friend, they say, we have a very small amount of time to run away. Now's their chance, and the two of them will eventually make it out of there. So yeah, this page is full of big monster action. You actually do get to see the monsters a lot more than you normally do, but that being said, one of the monsters has a bunch of human anatomy in it, and YouTube flips out, so I'm not going to show you too terribly much, because I don't want to show you any of that, or, you know, I keep things safe around here. But anyway, there's a fun shot where one of the creatures does get the last surviving friend, and you see all these faces from the past, and then 30 days of night teeth coming at them. But anyway, he says, what could we have done for her? And she says, we brought them with us. They're physical manifestations drawn into the world of our guilt and anger. And we get the past fully explained. The guy went to prison, and when he was in prison, the wife cheated, and that this is their fault. They brought the creatures with us. But also, the wife comes to the conclusion that, I cheated when you were in prison. This is all your fault. And yeah, from a purely timeline-based point of view, yeah, those events did trigger one another, but at the same time, you should have broke up with the guy first, But anyway, he says, it's not my fault, or at least not all of it. The two will argue and split up and kind of go their own ways, which, when you're in a haunted forest, it doesn't really improve your chance for survival, so the two are out in the woods on their own. And yeah, it's a good, dark, moody story, and it really is different from the other one. And I did kind of realize, because it did get darker and moodier, and then the other one, Familiars, had its big, fun, crazy, over-the-top finale. I did realize just how different they are from each other. So Shock Shop doesn't really have that consistent, this is what Shock Shop is feel, because the stories are so different. But that being said, they don't feel redundant at all. So I guess it is kind of a, what do you want out of the book? But overall, even though the stories did kind of wrap up a little bit quickly, they're only half-issue stories, and it's only a 4-issue plot arc, I feel like for the amount of time they had, they got a good amount out of it, and I felt like each story wrapped up at the spot where it should be, and even though these were so short, I really did, I guess because they are half-issues and they were spread out over 4 months, it felt like they were bigger than they actually were. Now, I am curious, when this comes to trade paperback, how will they do it? I'm hoping they keep the flip book element. There was another horror flip book, Grindhouse Doors Open at Midnight, where you flipped it over. I read those in trades, and they kept the flip book element in the trade, and they even had, the two covers, one cover on each side. I'm hoping they keep that intact. It will be kind of weird jumping back to the horror host every 7 pages when you're reading it in trade, so I will be curious what they do. I hope they keep all her parts, because they're good visuals, but yeah, it would seem kind of odd. Maybe move them to the back for bonus pages? I don't know. But anyway, definitely a fun run. Hope we get more of this sometime, but if not, what we got was still pretty cool. A fun experiment trying something different, and both stories wound up in a good place. So yeah, short, but sweet, fun stuff from Cullen Bunn. Anyway, definitely did like it. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. I'll put my Cullen Bunn playlist on the bottom. If you want to see me talk about more Cullen Bunn stuff, I covered the past 3 issues of this. I also covered another one of his new ones, Door to Door, Night by Night, as well as classic stuff like the first issue of Harrow County, and also The Unsound, a really good underrated one of his, and I look forward to reading more from him soon. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Cullen Bunn playlist on the bottom. Have a good day now.